950, and the Blue Jays just kept striking out, trying to get players to sign there. They ended up getting Anthony Santander. No one really knows what to expect from them this year.
There's going to be a lot of guys, I think, available if San Diego drops out, if Toronto drops out at some point.
To go with the Toronto Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are a very weird team. I don't think that they can compete to make the playoffs this year, truthfully, with the way that their roster is currently constructed.
The Blue Jays are not a first-place team. I'm sorry.
All you it takes everybody every day. Start spreading the news.
In a world full of expectations, the Blue Jays seem to have almost none going for them this year. They came off of one of the most disappointing seasons in franchise history in 2024, featuring unforeseen collapse from start to finish. They were told to trade Vlad Guerrero Jr., to trade Bichette, and wait for another load of talent to work its way to the team in a couple of years. The future had never looked worse as it did at the end of last season. They go through the offseason and miss their big swings at some of the most premium free agents on the market, producing another depressing offseason. Flash forwards to today, and they've just put the Yankees to bed for the final time this year. Teams around the league are asking how. One of the biggest pieces to that fast turnaround was Bichette. After a horrible 2024 campaign contrasted with an excellent career thus far, all eyes were on him to do something. On May 28th, the Jays were 27-28 and 8 games behind the Yankees. They were battling it out with the also struggling Texas Rangers, and just when they needed a spark from anyone, Bichette came off the bench in what was supposed to be his rest day and did this.
Fly ball, left field, deep, gone!
It was from that point on that the Blue Jays seemingly never looked back. They went 67-40 and got themselves right back on track. They slowly figured out their pitching situation and learned how to deal with what they had to work with. The most important part of this whole resurgence was all the guys behind the superstars. The guys like Ernie Clement, Tyler Heineman, Miles Straw, Nathan Lucas, and Addison Barger. On June 17th, the Blue Jays had some sort of a groove going and were getting hot when they were down by 1 run in the bottom of the 9th. Bichette gave them the tying home run before passing the baton to Addison Barger, a second-year player with not much to show for in his career, and he got his shot.
Squared up. Swing and a high drive! Right field! Way back! The Blue Jays win the game!
The Blue Jays would grind their way through the early parts of summer before finding themselves neck and neck with the Yankees on Canada Day. There was something special about this day, not just because the pretty red jerseys came out, or because the armed forces held a huge flag for the anthem, but it was the doing of George Springer, a player being paid big money by the Jays to bring a superstar presence to the team but had his worst career year in 2024. Going into his age 35 season, his expectations were not much at all, just an aging vet owed fat stacks of cash. George Springer comes up with the bases loaded in a tight game and tight division race on Canada Day and sent a message.
There is energy in this ballpark right now. And a high fly ball to left center field. It's going, and it is gone!
George Springer posted, by some measures, his best season of his career. At age 35, he found himself again so the Blue Jays could find themselves again as well. Let's be clear, the Blue Jays almost choked the division lead. They dropped the gap between them and the Yankees to a straight tie, but they never gave up. The Jays won their last 4 games of the season to keep the Yankees in check and held the division lead only by a tiebreaker. It was only fitting that the Jays were lined up to play the Yankees in the ALDS. This was it. The age-old enemy, the Pinstripes, was standing in the Blue Jays' way. They clobbered the Yankees in Game 1 and 2, with Game 2 featuring the most iconic moment of this Blue Jays era.
Deep left field! It is a grand slam!
They fumbled Game 3 before sealing the deal in Game 4, and it was then the Blue Jays had won a playoff series and were going to the ALCS, both of those happening for the first time in 9 years. The pain, sadness, heartbreak is gone. This is the new Blue Jays, one that can topple any injury that arises and can take any team. The most beautiful part is that I mentioned Vlad Jr. once this whole video. The team was not just on his back. He did plenty. But it was every guy on and off the field and everyone in between that led us here. The Blue Jays are as ready as they'll ever be for this upcoming ALCS. And just remember,
The Yankees lose.
thanks for watching, and hey, consider subscribing.